As the midterm elections get closer, Democrats are working to cover all of their bases and reaching voters in key battleground states. At a campaign rally in Georgia yesterday, Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff, whose race is one of the most consequential for control of the Senate, energized the crowd by tearing into his opponent, Republican Congressman Mike Collins, and President Trump.
Donald Trump and his puppet, Mike Collins. They doubled health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians and threw 300,000 Georgians off their insurance altogether. Savannah, a wave is building. The kind of wave that comes once a generation when people have been pushed too far and they decide all at once, all together, that enough is enough.
This comes just one day after Senate candidate James Tallarico took the stage at the Texas Democratic Convention and called out Republicans' culture war fixation.
They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, so we don't notice that they're picking our pockets. It is the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer.
Meanwhile, progressive Democrats in New York City are still celebrating their victories, despite some Democratic leaders urging the party to be more moderate. That's a tale as old as time. Eugene Robinson is back with us. But, Eugene, I wanted just to kind of continue with something we were just talking about, which is you heard Tallarico saying, while they're picking our pockets, you know, distracting us while picking our pockets. So, again, I mean, do you think that this messaging, when it comes to corruption while Americans are suffering, is winning over those disillusioned Republicans or the people that shifted, that aren't consistent Republican voters, but maybe moved towards Trump the last time?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it is yet, but we don't have to know right now. We have to know on Election Day, right? And the way you get a message across is you say it again and again and again. So if he continues, you know, sort of pressing that button, hitting that nail, then we can evaluate whether it's getting across. You know, so we'll see. We'll see if it gets. I mean, you know, he's in Texas, Tallarico, and Texas, you know, for election cycle after election cycle, it looks demographically like it's going to go blue at some point. So far, it has been either, you know, fool's gold or Lucy with a football or whatever metaphor you want to use. It'll be that way until it isn't, until it happens. And it's hard to know whether this is the cycle when it happens. But Tallarico looks to me to have a pretty good shot.
I want to put the new Gene on the spot, though, because if you are trying to have a little bit of more nuanced understanding about the through line from New York to Texas. I mean, Bernie Sanders was the headliner at the Texas Democratic Convention. Actually, let's listen to him, and then I'll put you on the spot on the other side.
We are now living in a moment in American history where a tiny number of billionaires are exerting unprecedented influence over our society. And let me tell you something. These are not nice guys. The way we defeat them, and we are seeing it now, not just in New York, but all over this country, is when ordinary people get involved in the political process. We win because we believe in solidarity.
So what is the through line? Why would they pick Bernie Sanders as the headliner here for such a competitive race featuring, you know, the original Democratic Socialists?
Right. And when you're trying to present as moderate, I think part of it is the populism, right? That's the through line, is that I think it says a lot about where the moderates in the party are and their lack of maybe ability to talk about populism in a way that really affects voters. There's nobody better at talking about populism and the billionaires and the millionaires. It's pretty good, right? Billionaires. They're very similar. But then Bernie. And I think that was what was interesting. And I'm trying to find out from some folks in Texas why they went with Bernie. But I think that's why. They wanted someone who can help connect those dots that you're talking about.
Look at the Democratic Party in recent history and in election cycles, and in every one, Bernie Sanders has been a very significant figure. Yeah. There is a big chunk of the Democratic Party.
Young ones, is there?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Basically, the Democratic Party under 45 is, really likes Bernie Sanders.
And Tariq has talked about young voters a lot. When I was just there with him, was that last week, 2 weeks ago? And he kept going back to young voters. So then it also may be like a young voter play as well.
Yeah.
Voters are also looking for some authenticity, right? And I think Sanders has never been accused of being not authentic and not himself. And he has kind of carried a corruption argument for a long time, which you see Democrats globbing onto. So it kind of makes sense that he's there. He also is someone who has never seemed to be afraid to go into Republican strongholds.
Exactly. He goes into Republican strongholds. He talks to people in a way that gets through, in a way that penetrates. And for the Democratic establishment, if there is one right now, my advice would be, look, if you try to demonize 40%, half, whatever, of your party, that's not a good strategy for going into the election.
Hakeem Jeffries is doing something I think really interesting, or did something really interesting. He congratulated the New York City Democratic Socialists on their wins. Quote, "Congratulations to our newest members of the NYC congressional delegation. From public servants to union organizers to community activists, the path is different, but the work is the same. We must decisively address the affordability crisis and crush far-right extremism." Now he's using exclamation points. But I thought that was really interesting because for days the conversation was, oh, Lord, what are they going to do with these Democratic Socialists? Are they taking over? Yeah. And him reaching, that was me. Him reaching me in the pulpit, him reaching out and saying, no, come on in, is big tent politics at once.
It is, and really, anything else would have been insane, really, because and also it's a recognition that a Democrat running and winning in New York is not going to look and sound exactly like a Democrat running and winning in Georgia or Texas.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
Dumb idea.
Ridiculous. It's a dumb idea, right? So got to be Big Tent.
Yeah.
Dumb ideas, good ideas, salty ideas. Eugene Robinson, thank you so much for joining us this morning.